Well, it seems that Mark Zuckerberg will have to explain a lot regarding China for all the developments that we have. A whistleblower that is revealing the ties of Meta in terms of data to China. So sending your data to China. And the whistleblower, this story is insane. Shocking testimony by a Facebook executive turned whistleblower who was an eyewitness to secret illegal collusion with the CCP. This is nothing short of treason. We are talking about treason here. Look at this.
My name is Sarah Wynne-Williams, and I served as the Director of Global Public Policy at Facebook, now Meta, for nearly 7 years, starting in 2011. Throughout those 7 years, I saw Meta executives repeatedly undermine U.S. national security and betray American values. They did these things in secret to win favor with Beijing and build an $18 billion business in China. We are engaged in a high-stakes AI arms race against China. And during my time at Meta, company executives lied about what they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party to employees, shareholders, Congress, and the American public.
I want you to understand the scope of what is going on with here. Because Mark Zuckerberg denied time and time again that they were working with China, that they have nothing to do. But of course, the sheer amount of information that Facebook has, not only about the United States citizens, but the world, would be really useful for China and would be really useful for China's AI initiatives to train their artificial intelligence model. So I couldn't have that. Oh yeah, this will be really profitable for Facebook if they are doing this, on the wraps.
I sit before this committee today to set the record straight about these illegal and dangerous activities. Meta's dishonesty started with the betrayal of core American values. Mark Zuckerberg pledged himself a free speech champion. Yet I witnessed Meta work hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to construct and test custom-built censorship tools that silenced and censored their critics.
So those critics, I guess that we're not talking not only about in China, but in the United States. But we need to recap a bit of what did Mark Zuckerberg said at Georgetown University at some point. Here are the facts, thanks to Francis Brennan. This story is a decade old, and that tool was never deployed. It's no secret that Facebook was interested in entering China. Zuckerberg said as much publicly. But we didn't start offering our services in China, and we told the world that in 2019. You think that this is a real deal? Let's see.
So this is one of the reasons why we don't operate Facebook, Instagram, or our other services in China. I wanted our service.
Notice that he fixed, he had a kind of a fixing gesture in there.
Services in China, because I believe in connecting the whole world, and I thought, maybe we could help create a more open society. And this is something that I worked hard on for a long time. But we could never come to agreement on what it would take for us to operate there, and they never let us in. And now, we have more freedom to speak out and stand up for the values that we believe in and fight for free expression around the world.
Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg talking about free expression, and what this guy says, oh, here's the facts, that this story is a decade old and that tool was never deployed. What tool are you talking about, Francis? It's no secret that Facebook was interested in entering China, but we are not talking. This is a false equivalence. You know that when people have arguments that have nothing to do with the actual, with the original topic that was addressed. We're talking about a collaboration of data with China. Nobody's saying, no, but Facebook could never operate in China. Yeah, because China would not have allowed it. It still doesn't allow any of Meta's products to operate in China. But that would never stop them from saying, hey, you know what, Mark, I know you know that we cannot allow you to operate here, but if you allow us to access your data, the data of your users, then we can pay you big bucks. And that is, it seems that it was that happened. We have other moments of this committee, and here you have it, thanks to Josh Hawley, who made so great questions. Straight from a former Facebook employee. Meta was willing to store data in China and give the Chinese government access to it. Again, that we could never operate in China, that was never deployed. Yeah, one thing is Facebook being operative in China, and another thing is Meta allowing the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to access data related to American citizens. To hell with Americans, user data, and personal information. It has always been profit and power for Meta.
So I want to just be clear about this. Here in this document, Facebook is talking about making Chinese user data available to the Chinese government because they're going to store that data in China. Is that correct?
Correct.
But when you store that data in China, Americans who exchange messages or other information with Chinese Facebook users, that would mean the Chinese government could get access to the American data as well. Is that correct?
Through the POP servers, potentially, yes.
And Facebook was willing to take that risk.
Now, when he says Chinese Facebook users, I understand that would be Chinese Facebook users outside of China, but still, they would be storing that data inside China, and China would have access to that.
Yes, there was a lot of discussion about this, and ultimately, yes.
I mean, this is extraordinary. This is exactly contrary to what Facebook has represented for years. Here, they're willing to build data centers, store data in China. They are willing explicitly to give the Chinese government access to it. And if that means that American user data is also compromised, they're willing to do that too. All for profits in China. There was virtually nothing they weren't willing to do.
Yeah, this is getting out of control, and I would really like to see some kind of interview with Mark Zuckerberg. I'm thinking that Mark Zuckerberg will be right now totally off the rails, like trying to do some damage control, because this is serious. This is literal treason. You can literally go to jail for this. Estimates suggest that in 2018, Facebook generated between 5 and 7 billion from Chinese advertisers, where Zuckerberg's donation to Democrats' causes at the behest of the Chinese government. What do you think? Is there a conflict of interest in there? Yes, there is. What did China spend on Facebook in 2019 and 2020? I wonder, those dates, what happened in those dates? It's just, I really cannot figure that out. But well, Josh Hawley as well. Zuckerberg made censorship his whole business model. He even developed censorship tools for the Chinese Communist Party. But Facebook and China don't want you to know that.
He, in fact, made censorship his business model. He, in fact, developed censorship tools for the Chinese Communist Party to use against its own people. He, in fact, made Americans' own user data available, was willing to make it available to Beijing. The truth is, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have lied to the American people repeatedly. And I think, as we'll see today, they have lied to Congress as well. It's time for this to stop. That's why this committee has launched a full-scale investigation into the potential illegal behavior of Facebook. Today's hearing is one step in that investigation. Ms. Wynne Williams' testimony is absolutely essential to that investigation. That's why we invited her to be here today, and it is why she accepted. Facebook does not want you to hear what she has to say. I dare say China probably doesn't want you to hear what she has to say, but we are going to get the truth, and we're going to get the truth starting now.
So the best part of this is that Mark Zuckerberg actually lied to Congress. So it would be nice to see the lizard again against being grilled by Congress, so we can analyze his body language to see to see if his transformation, that he wanted to be good friends with Donald Trump and wanted to be part of his, his tech counselors or something. That's because he knew what was coming. He knew what was coming. Oh, this is gonna be so sweet. Tsar Apu, I just remember Mold Bugam and his thread on how desperately Mark Zuckerberg tried to kiss Xi Jinping's ass in a futile attempt to get Facebook into China. He even had a copy of Xi's book laying around for the Chinese delegation to see. Again, this guy is a snake. Pamela Geller, whistleblower tells Senate committee that Meta undermined U.S. national security to collude with China. And this is the main issue. We're talking about national security. We're talking about, it's like what's happening with TikTok and why TikTok is in that kind of app limbo in which, TikTok was developed by China and heavily controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. That is one thing. But another thing is an American company selling Americans' data to Beijing. That is way worse, at least in my opinion. As damaging as we thought Facebook was, it seems we didn't know the half of it. Censoring Americans, promoting Democratic COVID disinformation, banning users who question elections, and funding the illegal Democrat voter machine was just the tip of the iceberg. The fact that Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg now seeks an active role in Trump administration's tech policies is frightening. He should be facing charges and kept far, far away. Wait a second. So, what do you think about this? What do you think is going to happen? My best guess is that Mark Zuckerberg will have to address Congress at some point, and that will be fascinating to watch. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.